I'm going to bring the audience up to speed on what's happening in the Diddy trial, and then I'll get you guys to weigh in on the significance to this. I won't list it all, but I'll just give an update, perhaps on Capricorn Clark, who took the stand today. She was Diddy's assistant for several years, from 2004 through 2012. So I think she's probably the most significant assistant that he's had over the years. We've heard her name a lot from Cassie Ventura, the star witness, and from others. And so she takes the stand for the prosecution today. And I was telling my team, all I can think of when I hear that name is from Trading Places, Billy Ray Valentine, Capricorn. But this woman's name is Capricorn. I don't know whether she is also a Capricorn in the astrological world. And she hurt him, for sure. She hurt Diddy, in my opinion. But the cross is just beginning. So open mind. Here are some of the things that she said. Okay. That he told me he was going to kill Kid Cudi over Kid Cudi's affair with Cassie. He came to my apartment livid with a gun. He said, get dressed, quote, we're going to kill this N-word. That's pretty on the nose. He, hold on, let me get more of it. Okay. He allegedly broke into Kid Cudi's home in December of 2011. We had Kid Cudi testifying that somebody broke in and did some weird things. And now we have Capricorn saying it was Diddy and I was there and I know he did it. And it was exactly the time that Kid Cudi said somebody broke into his home. And she described what was done inside, and it perfectly aligns with what Kid Cudi said he came home to. That he opened up the presents that were there. His Christmas presents were there. He opened them up, that he locked the dog in the closet or some small room, and that he moved cameras. Okay, so that testimony lines up. Then she talked about how after he broke into Kid Cudi's home, Diddy, I want to get my facts straight. Hold on. Capricorn Clark and Cassie Ventura, went to see Sean Combs at his Los Angeles homes. Combs, this is after he had broken into Kid Cudi's. Combs was in a robe and underwear and immediately began kicking Cassie. This is right when he's finding out that she'd been allegedly having an affair with Kid Cudi. Not allegedly. Cassie says it's so, and so did Kid Cudi. And he immediately began kicking Cassie. Capricorn Clark says she and a security guard stood by as Combs repeatedly kicked Cassie Ventura. Capricorn said Combs threatened to hurt her, too, if she tried to stop him. Capricorn Clark said she left after the security guard told her to leave, and Cassie Ventura was still on the ground while Combs continued to kick her. Capricorn said she called Cassie Ventura's mom, Regina, as she left, saying, quote, please help her. I can't call the police, but you can. Regina Ventura said she would handle it and hung up. All right, let's just start there. So you've got corroborating testimony to what we've heard earlier in the case. And now you have, because, this conspiracy, racketeering conspiracy, they need to show it was more than just Diddy. And the prosecution had alleged in its opening, he had staffers who helped him commit crimes that aren't necessarily charged, statute of limitations expired, etc., but that he committed as part of this overall criminal enterprise. Phil, let me start with you on whether the prosecution is making its case.
Well, it sounds like, Megyn, they're finally getting into some of the meat of the matter, because up until now, we've heard a lot of emotionally charged testimony. We've heard about domestic violence. We've heard about, third-rate burglaries and things like that, like you were just discussing. But we haven't heard much about how this was some type of criminal enterprise related to, sex trafficking. We're starting to hear now that who these people are that are the other racketeers. You've got other employees, security personnel. And so the government is starting to make its case. They've got a long way to go. But until today, I had a lot of reasonable doubt that things that I was thinking about, because these witnesses all seem to have some degree of kind of affection for Combs, or maybe had affection in the past. And it may be that they all had some kind of an angle, some incentive to testify against him, maybe sour grapes. So the defense has been doing a pretty good job on cross-examination, but let's see if they can sustain that momentum now that the prosecution is really getting into the heart of the matter.
Well, exactly. So what's happened so far on cross, well, I'm going to pause there because we're still talking about the direct, and I want to get Viva to weigh in on what we've heard there, and then I've got more from the direct. Go ahead.
Megyn, I'm starting off this entire process with the premise that once you view this prosecution as the cover-up and this trial as the cover-up, the entire trial takes on a whole different meaning. Diddy is a criminal. I mean, I say this, by the evidence, by what we know, by the video of him beating Cassie, and we know he's a criminal.
Which is undisputed. He does not dispute that was him in the video beating her.
We know it. We know that this is abject degeneracy of the highest order that has spanned decades. You go back and watch Get Him to the Greek again, and you see P. Diddy's character in that movie, and you understand it was based on reality and not comedic writing. It takes on a whole new meaning. But once you look at this and say, this is supposed to be a trial about criminal sex trafficking RICO, as in there's an infrastructure. There were cameras all over P. Diddy's apartment. He was running effectively a blackmail extortion ring. And this entire prosecution has been reduced now to two witnesses, Cassie and Jane Doe. Once you start viewing this prosecution as the cover-up and not the exposing of the criminality, it'll take on a whole new meaning.
Covering up what, though? What do you mean? Yeah, you're gonna explain.
There is an extortion ring that involves other people that is not being fleshed out here. And it's sort of like the movie The Titanic, where you have this entire backdrop of the crisis of the Titanic, and it is reduced to Billy Zane chasing the woman, I forget her name, around the boat. Like
Rose.
You have, yeah, well, I figured her name, Kate Blanchett. Winslet. So you have this entire blackmail extortion ring. They went and raided Diddy's house. There were cameras there. We know that it involves the higher ups in the entertainment industry, if not the world of politics as well. And this entire prosecution is reduced to P. Diddy and what we know of his abuse of Cassie and potentially Jane. And then once you flesh out the fact that for whatever the reason, Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, is still involved as one of this trial. This trial is a show trial because they're going to get him on something. It might just be the, trafficking for prostitution purposes, which seems undeniable. Send him away for 10 years. Maybe he gets out after 8. And then you've successfully covered up the entire extortion ring that P. Diddy was running, much like what they did with Epstein.
Oh, that's very interesting. Because where are all the tapes showing these well-known celebrities allegedly at these parties, who knows, doing who knows what? That's speculation on our part. But I have yet to hear anybody put it that way, Viva. One of the many reasons we love hearing your legal perspective. All right, let me continue going with the direct testimony of Capricorn, Billy Ray Valentine. Ain't cool being no turkey so close to Thanksgiving. Okay, sorry. I love that movie. She goes on. So let's just go back to December 2011. Okay, so December of 2011 is when she says he learned about this relationship between Kid Cudi and Cassie. And he showed up at Capricorn Clark's home with a gun, threatened to go kill Kid Cudi. I read you the quote, "Get dressed, we're going to kill this N-word." She said, she put a lot of detail around it, saying when he showed up at my house, Capricorn did, because for some reason he wanted his assistant to go with him for his hit. Abigail Finan, how good do you have it? I'm sorry, but like when I do my own hits, I leave my assistant at home. I do not show up at her home and insist she come with me. She said she looked through the peephole. She could see his pants were split up the inseam from the knee upward, exposing his underwear. When she opened the door, he was holding a gun. He was furious. "Why didn't you tell me?" he said, and asked her about Kid Cudi. Clark testified that Sean Combs, still holding the gun, said, "Get dressed. Yeah, we're going to go kill him." The New York Post reporting that he used the N-word. When she tried to protest, Combs said, "I don't give an F what you want to do. Go get dressed." Clark said Combs was livid, furious, mad at me. I had never seen him with a weapon. I had never seen him making me do something like this. She said she called Cassie to tell her Diddy was in Kid Cudi's home, which is where she and Diddy went next. They drove to his home. Combs and his security guard entered the home. She was still out in the car. She stayed in the car. She called Cassie Ventura on a burner phone. She testified she told Ventura that Combs had come to her house with a gun, and then they'd gone to Kid Cudi's home to kill him. Just a day in the life as Diddy's assistant. She said she changed Ventura's contact name in the phone to the name Stormy so that Combs would not know that she had just called Ventura. Clark said she could hear someone yelling in the background of her call with Cassie Ventura, "He's in my house!" And that was Kid Cudi, according to Cassie. This all dovetails with Kid Cudi's testimony. When Combs got back into the car, he asked who Clark had been talking to. He called Ventura's burner phone, which was the last recorded call in Capricorn's call log. Combs, furious, said, "Bitch, what the F is this number?" A short time later, Kid Cudi pulled up next to Combs' Escalade outside of his home and then accelerated away. Good call, Kid Cudi. Good call. Combs' vehicle followed in pursuit. Capricorn testified it felt like forever, but couldn't have been longer than a minute that they followed. She goes on, hold on, that he once ran at her. He was very angry because he heard that she said she didn't like working for him. Another thing she testified to was he kept her like slave wages. She made $65,000 a year, but that was supposed to be for a normal 8-hour shift. And she said he had her working literally 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. That if she had a 4-hour overnight rest, it was a lot. So she was complaining about the job, and one of his other staffers told Diddy she was complaining. And she testified he once ran at me after that, shoving me 25 to 30 yards. Now, I don't know if that's an exaggeration, but if that's true, think about a football field. I mean, that's a third of the way down the field. My God, That would be some shove. After I said I hated working for him, he ran at me, hands open. He charged at my shoulders. "If you hate it here, get the F out of my house," he said. Security intervened and told me to leave. I quit after that. She testified she helped with the freak-offs, providing the baby oil, a camera bag, clothes, lube, drugs like ecstasy. She testified she saw Diddy doing drugs, ecstasy and Molly among them, also prescription drugs. She also offered this, Phil. She was once forced, I think it was her first. No, I'm conflating two things. This is, I don't know when this happened in the employment, but she was once forced to take a polygraph after Combs's diamond jewelry disappeared. She was told she would be thrown in the East River if she failed. His bodyguard, Uncle Paulie, I can't make it up, I'm sorry. Uncle Paulie came to her home and forced her to go with him to an abandoned skyscraper at 1710 Broadway. These are all important details to be believed by a jury, where after diamond necklaces, bracelets, and watches, or perhaps it was in the singular, went missing while she was transporting them. She said for 5 full days, she was interrogated and given a polygraph, which I suppose she passed because she was not thrown into the East River and was allowed to continue working for Diddy. Okay. Phil? What are they proving with this? What is the prosecution trying to show us?
This whole testimony from this particular witness is a head scratcher. I mean, first off, who lives like this? I'm a former police officer, prosecutor, criminal lawyer, and I can tell you that when people are aware of a burglary in progress, or when they get physically assaulted and thrown yards and yards down a football field or that length anyway, people call the police. People complain in real time, and there's other things that jury could look at to corroborate their testimony. This whole business about working 20 hours a day straight with maybe 4 hours of sleep, day in and day out, without meal breaks or restroom breaks, that's just not the kind of thing that's really believable in my view. And it strains credibility to believe that this has actually happened. So what it looks to me like is that she's exaggerating a little bit, maybe because she's got some kind of sour grapes, maybe because she is some victim in some capacity. I don't know. But when she's seen to be stretching some of it, a jury can disregard the entirety of her testimony.
Let me just say this. She did testify that she went to the head of HR while she was working for Diddy and complained about not getting paid for the many hours she was putting in, and that the head of HR allegedly told Diddy, "You owe her $80,000 with a written notification," and that Diddy ripped it up. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the US dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for US dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.